Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Eye on the Ball. I'm Steve Rivera, and you're listening to 1030 The Voice. Welcome to Wednesday afternoon. Got a big show. People in studio this time. They found the place, which is usually not the case when I have guests. They take forever, and they go down to Nogales, and then they eventually come back. Sorry, I'm going to be late. But not my guests, Mr. Bill Burbeck and Michael Balata from CPR2U. Two guys I met a while back, about a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
About this time.
Yep.
We'll talk about some sports. Tell me exactly what you do, because I know where I want to go with the directions, but you tell me and then I'll come up with the questions.
Sure. CPRD is an American Heart Association training center. We do a various degree of medical courses from basic CPR through paramedic training. Personally, I've been a paramedic here in our community for just over 37 years. And last year, CPRDU trained just over 30,000 people through our different offices. And we continue to grow and expand and getting the word out with the CPR training.
And you are
I am the founder, CEO.
And Michael?
I am the business relations manager.
So, which is more important to get close to? Let me see here. I'll come up with that later. How important, not how important, I know it's very important. Well, first of all, how many lives have you saved, or have you saved spontaneously?
Throughout my career, I don't know the exact number, but a number of them. And just recently, we provide CPR training for the City of Tucson staff. And back in March at Udall Park, there was a gentleman playing racquetball. And
How old?
I believe he was in his mid-50s.
Oh, you're killing me.
Yeah, literally.
No, yes.
And,
okay.
Michael actually had done the training class with the city employees back in March. Well, this gentleman was playing racquetball in April. He actually went down into cardiac arrest. The recently trained City of Tucson employees grabbed the AED, started CPR, and actually saved his life.
He was awake and talking when Tucson Fire got there.
AED.
AED, automatic external defibrillator.
Uh-huh.
It's the machine that you place the pads on the chest that provide the electrical shock if needed.
So luckily that was there?
Yes, it was on
What had it not been there? What would have happened?
Then they would have done continuous CPR.
So what you guys do,
Right.
what you guys teach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we
but
teach
also,
AED too.
Yeah, we actually train the people on the AED. It more than likely, my experience and education probably says that more than likely probably would not have survived the event if the AED wasn't present.
Right. That's kind of scary. I'm going to carry one in my car.
You know, kind of funny, Steve, is last week, or the week before, I was driving down the road, came across this Ford pickup truck
In Tucson?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, on Speedway, and he actually had a sticker on his back window that said AED aboard. So he was actually carrying an AED in his vehicle.
What would you think the purpose would be?
He probably had some type of cardiac history or disease that might have been used on him before. And today, the AEDs have become relatively inexpensive. 5 years ago, they were $4,000 or $5,000. Today, you can buy one for $900. So,
Really?
So,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
So
Anybody?
it's pretty neat.
You have any spare ones in the office?
What do they call that?
Loan.
Loan, yeah. We can
I know
rent
you.
it.
I know you rent it. I'll take
But
it.
knowing you, we probably don't want to do that.
Yeah.
There's probably people out there paying us not to give it to you.
Right. Well, the reason you're on here, when I wanted to talk about sports, obviously, as connected to this, and what you guys do for a living. But do you find, even though that the athletes are in great shape, or supposed great shape at all levels, I'm sure you've seen it, where out of the blue, this guy has problems.
Something happens. Yeah, it's interesting with genetics, and just over the last 8 or 10 years, they've come up and they coined this term called channelopathy. And what they're finding through generations is that these individuals have some type of cardiac problem.
Sure.
But it's not normal to do an EKG in a physical, sports physical. They go in and, do a basic sports physical, but they typically don't look at, the cardiac system. And
Because it costs too much?
Well, I don't think it's even so much the cost. It's just something, hey, you're a healthy 19-year-old male, no cardiac history, and so they don't do it. Now more and more they are starting to look at the history, and there's a well-known sports guy here in Tucson. I'll ask Break if we mention his name. But his daughter, 18 years of age, 2 years ago, working out at high school and actually went into cardiac arrest. The coach knew CPR. There was an AED, and she's walking, talking today. Her and her dad actually came in and took the class, and I'm pretty sure he would not mind mentioning his name. He's talked about it before in public.
Yeah, we can get to that eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, are you predisposed? Let's say this happened with her or him.
Correct.
Or her. Are you good chances?
Predisposed, yeah. In fact, her mom had died of the same thing.
So, your chances of it happening again are good, or
Oh, that happening again? Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Now she's got regular cardiac follow-ups and monitoring and stress tests and things that go with that.
Can you guys? This is a dumb question. I'm going to be dumb all this hour because I have no idea. In fact, I worry about it every day. That you could walk at the mall. You're walking at the mall and you say, that guy could be in trouble.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Looking at somebody, you really can't. We think of the typical chest pain patient that's 300 pounds, smoking, drinking a Coke.
But
and you'd be surprised that, and over the course of 37 years, is the number of people that are within normal weight limits, that eat workout. And I'll give a perfect example. My brother died of cardiac arrest 4 years ago. No cardiac history, didn't smoke, ate healthy. I went into a local Mexican restaurant and went into cardiac arrest and unfortunately ended up passing away. So without blood work, doing EKG type tests, cardiac stress tests, is really the only way to determine what the potential of that happening. So it's not, again, it's this picture we painted. It's not always going to be that 300-pound person that smokes and doesn't work out and stuff. So,
which leads me to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a guy who believes in destiny. I've talked about it on here a number of times.
Yeah, we've talked about it at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah. So you have this guy that you talked about, the 300-pound smoker,
Sure.
drinker, what Pepsi guy,
Sure.
and you have this guy who's a thinnish, in shape guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just luck of the draw?
It's not luck.
Well,
there's things that we call risk factors. Okay. And risk factors such as smoking increases your risk by 75%. High cholesterol, the diet, the hereditary. There's a number of things that increase your risk of, having and surviving a cardiac event with that. But again, without these tests and these knowledge, we don't know.
So how do you know, Michael? How do you, through these tests, with blood work, is it?
Yeah, blood work is one with the elevated cholesterols. Is one case of the increase of the cardiac condition. There's another type of blood work that's typically done when somebody's having chest pain. That it's called a troponin test, where the cardiac muscle actually releases this enzyme that becomes elevated. So that's another type of blood work test. One of the big causes of these cardiac diseases and as we want to just generically call heart attacks is diabetes. People talk about, cancers and cardiac disease being the number 1 and 2 killer. The reality is diabetes is. If you during a medical survey, you'll find out that people with chest pain have a diabetic history, or they just found out they had a diabetic history and stuff like that. So I really tie diabetes into these cardiac events.
This 5:00 show is really depressing me.
Time for a hamburger?
Yeah, no more hamburgers.
Yeah.
Sugar, I'm done with water, please. Water, please. So is it mostly individual based? If I wanted to, let's say, start tomorrow and just drank water and became boring, eat salads, all that stuff.
Sure.
I would be okay? Or what about, or is the damage already done?
The actual damage doesn't happen until the actual event happens, and so just generically, basically speaking, what a heart attack or a myocardial infarction, myocardial being the heart muscle, infarction is defined as death of a tissue, is over a period of time, the blood vessels build up plaque. So you get this wide tube, if you want to call it, and over the year, this plaque builds up on the vessel and then eventually becomes occluded. And when it becomes occluded, oxygen-rich blood can't pass through to the heart tissue, therefore causing the death of the tissue. So, yes, starting and decreasing those risk factors are a good plan. But then again, you got going back to genetics and hereditary.
So how do they clean out that thing?
Okay, they typically really don't clean it out. What they do is they put in, it's called a stent.
Oh, yeah.
So it's basically a mesh that they put in and open the vessel.
Uh,
So it's really not cleaning it out. It's more just opening the vessel
wider.
with
Okay.
it. And they seem to be pretty successful. I have a stent.
Mm-hmm.
I got a stent in 2010. Woke up, I was unusual. You know, we talk about people having heart attacks. So they have chest pain, radiating pain, and sweating. I woke up on a Monday morning, and all I had was terrible, terrible vomiting. I thought I had eaten something bad. It continued on until Tuesday, and it continued on to Wednesday. And at the time, I was working at the trauma center, and so I had called in and said, "Hey, can I come in and get some fluids and an anti-nausea medication called Zofran?" And they said, "Sure, come on in." And I went in, and they did some blood work, and they found out again that enzyme I talked about, the troponin,
Yeah.
was a quadruple of what it should have been. They took me into the cath lab, and they found out that my vessel was 85% blocked. So more than likely, if that event didn't happen, probably within 3 or 4 months, I would have not been here talking.
Yeah. Wow. Wouldn't it be important to have Michael, if you feel bad or whatever, go take that blood test, or me go take, just in a happenstance kind of way? Hey, I got a doctor's, I'm not feeling bad. Take this test.
Yes, my recommendation is anytime you have any type of chest pain, it could be a sharp pain, could be a dull pain, it could be a crushing pain, you need to go into, not to your primary care, but you need to go to the emergency room, and you need to go via ambulance. There's been a number of times over my career that the husband or the wife said, no, just drive me. And we end up on the side of the road doing CPR because they should have went by an ambulance.
Totally scary. I mean, this is worse than the Llorona movie I just saw a month ago.
My partner, this is back in about 93, we had just got done fighting a house fire. We did some physical exertion, obviously. We went back to the station, getting back in service. He had a little chest pain, a little difficulty, not chest pain, he had some difficulty breathing, which wasn't abnormal, after the physical exertion. So after about 15 minutes, I finally talked him into me transporting him. So I put him in the medic truck, started down the road, started an IV, gave him a breathing treatment. About 2 minutes away from Northwest Hospital, he reached over, grabbed my hand, went into cardiac arrest, and he died.
Oh, you guys are totally scared.
And unfortunately, he was 100% blocked in his vessels, and if it didn't happen that night, it would have probably happened a couple weeks afterward. But it's terrible. We don't mess around with chest pain.
Well,
If you have chest pain, you call an ambulance.
I'm going to keep both of you guys. I'm going to go around your schedule. I'm going to hang around with you with that device, that CBD.
AD.
Just feed it.
Your call coming in.
Yeah, sure.
Alejandro, how are you? Thanks for the call.
Yeah, gentlemen. What's your opinion on fish oil?
Well, they found out through through fish oil. It kind of in conjunction faces the cholesterol, through studies that fish oil does help and decrease the buildup of cholesterol within the vessel, the coronary vessel walls. So I think it's good.
In addition to in addition, go ahead.
I've been on it for 30 years. After hearing a discussion from a professor from the University of California, Davis, about a test that he did on swine, which are very similar physiologically. We used to use swine skin for skin grafts, and the treated group had no sign of arterial sclerosis.
Sure,
And the
which is
ones
this
that
is
were
plaque?
fed fish oil.
Hmm?
I
Yeah,
mean,
it seems to work.
I'm stopping at Walgreens and picking me up a bottle now.
Yeah, just go to Long John Silver's and no.
My family history, my father died at 55, stroke. My brother had a major heart attack, had to have a replacement at 55. I'm in my 60s, and you know what I did when I was 55 and hit 56? I had another drink.
No, I
you go,
get
it
it.
works.
I get it. My father passed away at 50, and when I turned 50 and a day, I was very happy. I'm on borrowed time right now. I get it. I totally get it. Alejandro, thank you. Have you been listening to the show regularly?
Every chance I get.
Okay, great.
The best damn sports show on the radio.
Well, thank you very much. And I asked that because you're a new caller, and I've never heard your voice. Thank you.
Oh, no, I've called a couple times.
Oh, you
Last
did?
time I called, but this is Blues Talk.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, the St. Louis Blues?
Yeah.
I think I remember. Okay. Yeah, the name didn't ring a bell. But thank you for listening and thanks for calling in.
And look up, it's a great day, so you'll be fine.
Yeah. My favorite saying is, "God is great and life is good."
Yes. No, thank you very much, Alejandro. Good luck to you. Appreciate it.
And 4.
Thank you. Hey, let's take our first break here on 1030 The Voice, Trusted Local News and Talk, and come back with these two guys talking about heart and sports, I hope. You guys don't want to depress me this hour.
Let's talk sports, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera, talking to Bill Burbeck and Michael Balata of CPR2U, the business manager and the CEO of the company. Talking about heart issues and things like that. Everybody should be very careful with it. Obviously, I'm very concerned about it. Obviously, I'm at that age. And I've been friends with Bill for now a year, and he talks a lot about it when we're together. You see it. Look, Michael, let's talk about your story real quick before we go into the sports story.
Yeah, just like we were talking earlier, 4 years ago, I'm 58 now. I'm overweight. I don't eat very well.
No, you're not.
And so 4 years ago, I had a heart attack, and it was at work. Woke up, didn't feel good. I went to work, and I was had the typical chest pain, the pain down the neck and the arm, crushing in the chest. And they took me to the hospital and checked my troponins. Of course, we just talked about that blood test, and they were really high. And didn't have to go to the cath lab because there was no damage. We had caught it early enough. And then just 2 years ago, I had another issue with an irregular heartbeat, and ended up going to the hospital and spending 3 days in the hospital with that irregular heartbeat. It's scary.
It makes no sense to me if you even think about or have that issue with your heart. That blood test, just go and get that done.
Yeah, it's typically done again in an emergency setting. It's not something like you go to your primary care.
Why is that?
Because the troponin, that enzyme, is only released when there's some type of stress going on within the cardiac muscle. So it's typically
During that.
Yeah, you don't find it right now. As an example, Steve, if they did the blood test and looked for troponin, they wouldn't find it. It's only released when the heart has some type of stress or damage going on.
That doesn't make any sense. Of course you're having a heart attack. You're on the floor dying.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to have that in your blood.
Yeah. I'm talking about right now.
Right now, they won't find
But
it.
no, during the
That's my
event,
point.
yes.
Well, you don't need to know you have it. You're on the floor dying.
Yeah.
What's the point of having the test?
Well, it does a couple things again.
It just confirms that you're having.
It confirms that there's some type of event going on.
I don't need to confirm I'm a dumb guy. I am. You know what I'm saying? You don't need any confirmation.
It's medicine.
But you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What's the point of the blood when you know you're hurting and you're
having that issue?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me. But hey, I better not get too riled up here. Did you have that device in your trunk? Bring it in.
Yeah.
Bring it in. What is it called?
AED, automated external defibrillator.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to keep that name. And I'm going to get one from you.
So let's talk about that for a second, Steve.
Go ahead.
Because, like I talked about, seeing the sticker on that truck, is you're finding them all over the place now. The malls, the movie theaters.
I've seen it. Is it like a circle-ish?
It's a circle. It's usually on a wall in a case.
I've seen it.
And they all operate the same step. There's 4 steps. Turn the machine on, plug it in, put the pads on. It's going to tell you, yes, electrical shock's needed or it's not. Very simple. It does save lives.
Yeah.
It does save lives.
So you gave me that version of the guy playing racquetball?
Yeah.
What other examples?
Some of the stories is with the AED is just, again, over the years, working the streets as a paramedic is, so what happens, and the reason why we use the AED is the heart basically functions as an electrical conduction system. You've heard the term electrolytes, potassium and sodium, when you go to a doctor. So what happens was when the potassium and sodium come together, it produces an electrical impulse and therefore allows the cardiac muscle of the heart to contract. So during an event called ventricular fibrillation, where the heart basically sits and quivers, that AED stops the heart for a very, very brief moment and allows it to start over again.
Let me ask you something. We have a quick call.
Okay, sure.
Ted, thanks for calling in. How are you doing?
Hi. I had a softball question. I don't know if that's appropriate right now, but In the paper this morning, they talked about how the star pitcher for Oklahoma is transferring to play for Condrea.
Yes.
And she has 1 year of eligibility at Oklahoma. She played as a junior this year, and she looks like she was like the best pitcher in the country. And it just seems odd that she would transfer. I mean, I'm happy, but I didn't know if there was a backstory.
Well, there probably is on why she's coming here, but she was not the star there. She was not the number one, so that she decided to come where she would be or finish her career as the number one. It's my impression that she was not the one pitching during the tournament when it really mattered.
Yeah.
So, and let me tell you, in your observation, Ted, if let's say you're Duke, and I'm
Right.
Arizona, and you have this person who can score a lot of points, you're darn well that you at Duke are not going to let this guy go. You're not going to do, and that's your point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
For
Go
a
ahead.
repeat championship and stuff seems like it would be awful tempting too. That to want to transfer under those circumstances.
Yeah, no question. There's always a backstory to every story, and I always kind of say there's always more to the story. But people, if you're very good, schools don't want you to go, no matter the conditions. But if you're not happy at a place, there's no chance that they're going to keep you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good call.
Okay.
Good. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Ted. Appreciate it. Hey, so what was I going to say? I was talking about. So, is there anything that you could do? Anybody, person, women or men, who can do preventative work in case something is going to happen? Does that make sense?
So yeah, there's always preventative measures. Again,
the aspirin.
Well, the daily aspirin. Again, anything we talk about, you should check with your primary care physician. But the reasoning behind aspirin is to allow the blood to flow through the vessels.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason we take the baby aspirin, 81 milligram. So there are preventive measures. Your diet, eating the high fiber, low fat diet, the daily exercise programs and things. So you do have preventative measures, but we also got to keep in mind is genetics come into play. And so following up with your primary care physician, at certain ages getting cardiac stress tests done. So it's kind of a balance of both, not just the healthy eating, the exercising, keeping in contact.
Could you do all that? Like we talked about it,
Sure.
Good shape, take all the medicine you need and all that stuff, and still.
Yep, it happens. And
That's my point of the destiny thing.
But there's the perfect example of these young
Yes.
men playing football,
Right.
going out, and it's not always dehydration, but they find out during the autopsy or getting the family history is that the genetics come into play with it. And I'm not saying, hey, don't go work out, but there's a balance of both.
Mm-hmm.
By doing the healthy diet, by the exercise program, by the non-smoking, and having the potential of the genetic issues, is that it's obviously going to increase your chances of surviving if you're doing both.
Yeah. And that's more of a long term, the diet and
It's not get up on Monday morning and diet and then back to your normal routine on Tuesday.
Right. So how do you do, Mike? You self-admitted you're overweight. So how you've already had one or two.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you, when you get up every day, what do you think and what do you hope? Do you get up every day and say that, not today?
No, I mean I'm positive about it. I mean I'm working with losing weight and just having a positive.
Have you? Were you bigger before?
Yes, I was.
So you're in the
right. I was at 297. Now I'm down to 285.
Oh, okay. So you're and it's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
It's not. Yeah, it takes time. But exercise is the key as well.
So this is what I'm kind of afraid of. So you are what you are. You've already had two, and I'm on the fringe of being scared here. What if you're afraid of exercising and then having the heart attack because you're exercising or giving your heart more stress?
You can't let it rule your life.
No, but is that a factor?
No, I see what you're saying as far as you get up, you get on a treadmill, and
right.
So the heart attack is basically the lack of oxygen to the heart. You're exercising, I'm increasing my heart rate, so there's always that potential. So again, getting with your primary care physician, getting that cardiac stress test. And the cardiac stress test is basically that, getting on a treadmill to get your heart elevated to a certain level number, and they can determine if it goes into arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats and stuff like that. So I recommend getting that done. If you haven't exercised or never exercised, you should have those tests done before you get up Monday morning
and decide to get on it.
Decide to get on it. Sure.
And that's why I don't do it until I figure out what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that way you know how much you can do and how much you can't do.
Right. It's best that somebody else can determine that rather than you.
Yeah, that's what the cardiologist is for.
You're talking about the sports deal with the young kids or the younger kids having issues even at a young age.
Yeah, so again, genetics, and sometimes they skip generations. But now there's tests out there, genetic tests, that they can determine your risk of the potential cardiac issues. And I've heard of kids, going and getting these tests done, and luckily they had them done, and the physician determined, you shouldn't be playing sports because of your family's history or your grandmother's history or what. And if you pay attention when you're going to your primary cares, they always ask not only your current state, but hey, did your mom or your dad have cardiac conditions? Did they have cancers? Because again, the genetics is an important key to all of these. And then as long as we're talking about these cardiac issues, if you don't mind, we're talking about sports, and we're in Tucson and Arizona right now where the heat is hydration.
Yes.
We've had some athletes go down with hydration issues. In the past, when I played football and baseball and sports in high school, it's okay, you get some water every 3 hours. Now, they're pushing water, and get on a little tangent here for a second with these electrolyte-based drinks.
Beverages.
As an example, Gatorade. So, Gatorade was developed in the early 70s by the University of Florida, specifically for these athletes that are working out hard, and then replacing themselves these electrolytes. And like I mentioned, electrolytes of potassium, sodiums, and stuff like that allow the conduction of the heart. Well, what's happened now, if you go into a convenience store, half their shelves have these electrolytes-based things, and we're drinking them like we do soda, and we shouldn't be. In fact, the recommendation now for athletes is the cutting, it into half. 2 is if we don't pay a lot of attention to label reading. The typical 16-ounce bottle of Gatorade is actually a 2.5 serving bottle.
Is it because of the sugars?
Well, you got a couple of things. You got the electrolytes, and then you also got the sugar. And sugars, go hand in hand with diabetes.
So what you're telling me is we're all doomed. Too much of a good thing, too much of a bad thing.
Yeah,
we're all doomed. That's why I talk about destiny.
Destiny. Well, my college degree's in chemical engineering, and one of the first laws I learned about was the law of equilibrium, aka balance. And one of the issues with these electrolyte beverages is that we overload our system with potassium and sodium, so our heart has a hard time determining how much potassium or sodium that we need, i.e. causing these arrhythmias or these irregular heartbeats. So we do need to pay attention to that. And just real briefly, let's talk about the different types of heat stress.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, we are in Tucson, and you have kids or adults going out there and going crazy in this heat for whatever crazy reason.
And talk about craziness is, I've been in Tucson most of my life, and people throw that term, I'm acclimated to the heat.
Right.
Okay, so let me take you out about, third week of August at noon and put you on the corner Speedway in Swan, have you take your shirt off and see how acclimated you are to the heat.
Yeah.
It's funny is you go out to dinner time during the summer, and you know who the tourists are because they look like lobsters. And I'm going to go out and hang out by the pool for 8 hours and, get that tan, and they look like lobsters.
Well, you see it in the hikers. The
hikers, right?
And they're the one that suffer the most.
And they think they can take one bottle of war with them and be that's
fine.
And they're not.
Right, because they're rookies at this.
Yeah. So the levels of heat stress, typically first we start with cramps. And all that is the muscle saying, hey, I need some electrolytes.
Cramps all over or in the legs?
Yeah, cramps. Typically they start in the legs, the arms, abdominal area. And so what we do with that is, first of all, get out of the environment. Get into some shaded area. Cool down. And we recommend that you stop that activity for the day. Not until the cramp goes away and you go back to the environment, because it's going to start again. And so what we do with heat cramps is, treatment-wise, rehydrate yourself and then stretch. Stretching that muscle.
Yeah.
After heat cramps, the next level is what we call heat exhaustion. And a lot of us have had this. In fact, we'll wake up the next day, feeling terrible. Because it is. It really exhausts the body. With that, our body starts sweating. We get a headache. The pulse maybe start increasing. Skin color starts changing, into a red color.
Yeah, we've got a call. I'm not
Okay,
sure who it's from, but thanks for calling in. How are you?
Hello?
Hello.
I just want to say that I get electrolytes without sugar. I get them in the health food store. They're called E-Lyte, E-Lyte, and I also get the trace minerals, concentrates. You pour just a few drops into a glass of water. There's no sugar. And the heart also needs coenzyme Q10.
No? Okay. Roberta, why did you find this, or how did you find this?
I found them in the health food store. There's one on Speedway and Swan.
No. But did someone say, okay, or you were feeling bad, or how did you need this? Or
who recommended?
I'm allergic to all drugs, so I've been on supplements for 35 years, and they saved my life where no doctor could.
Oh, wow. Well, good for you, Roberta. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm going to be 76.
Great
Good for you.
Great for you. Yes, well, great for you. Well, thanks for calling in. How did you find me on this station?
I've listened to the station for 28 years.
Oh, super. I happen to be a residual. Thank you. Thank you for staying with me. Appreciate it. Listen every day, 5 to 7. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about health and the heart. That's very important.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad I had these two on. They're going to adopt me pretty soon. Well, thanks, Roberta. Appreciate it very much.
Well, I hope it helps.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hey, let's take our second break here. These things go quickly. I don't know if you realize that. It's our second segment. We'll go to break here on 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera. We're talking about heart health and all that goes with it. We have someone on the line. JB, thanks for calling in.
Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Hey, I'm sure glad one of the all-time good guys got set up with his own show on the radio.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, very much so.
It's really been great. But listen, the question I have is, it doesn't make sense to enroll in a paramedic course, but the gentleman on the show that I guess both of them, I haven't been listening that long, that with all their knowledge, I would like to have an idea of where the best place would be to go to just get a really good crash intensive course to learn how to address a lot of different emergency situations. If I'm somewhere and somebody goes into cardiac arrest or something, I have an idea of what to do, but I really want to develop my skills so that I can really function well in that situation.
Good question.
Sure, we
Thank you.
not to throw our name out there, but our website, CPR, the number 2, the letter U.com. Every other week we do a couple courses. They're 5 hours in length, and it does not only just CPR, but you get a good solid crash course on first aid. And I always recommend when people take CPR classes, as a lay provider, these are for non-medical, that it's more likely for you to perform first aid than it is CPR. And this first aid course we do covers a multitude of things from traumatic injuries to medical emergencies. So what do you do with a diabetic emergency, or somebody having a seizure, or somebody showing signs and symptoms of a stroke? In fact, what was your name?
JB.
All right, JB, let me give you Mike's telephone number and give him a call after the show. And as you called in, we'll actually give you a free course. You ready for a phone number?
Oh, wow.
You got a pen?
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
520 591 8828.
And you said you give a lot. How many of these courses do you give?
Right now, in our Tucson location with CPR and first aid courses, we're doing about 160 courses a month. So they're widely available, but what's your name? Oh, I'm sorry.
JB.
JB, so give Mike a call here in the next between 6 and 7, and we'll set you up with a free course.
591-8828.
Correct.
Yeah, there you go.
CPR to you.
Yeah, the number 2, the letter U.
.com.
That's great. Thank you so much.
All right.
So let me ask you, people who take these tests and do all these things because they care,
Sure.
because they care, they wouldn't do it otherwise. I mean, to know.
yeah.
But we live in a time when people, not that they don't care, they don't want to get involved. Does that make sense? Where they don't want to get projected into the situation,
Yeah.
like a good Samaritan,
Good
to get
Samaritan.
you in trouble.
Yeah, so, with TV shows and people throw around lawsuits, et cetera,
Right,
et cetera.
right.
We do in Arizona have a law called the Good Samaritan Law. And just real briefly, what that says is basically as long as you do it gratuitously, you're not being paid for it, you do it in good faith, and you don't cause further injury. I mean, you're not negligent in what you're doing. A fact is that there's never been a case in the state of Arizona won with regards to the Good Samaritan Law. And Steve's exactly right. There are a lot of good people out there, but we're afraid because of what we see on social media and the TV and stuff about lawsuits. So the Good Samaritan Law does protect you.
Yeah.
And is there for your protection.
But it does. There are a lot of people out there that do step up and do get involved, and those are the people that do the right thing and want to get involved, and they're the ones that really are the true heroes that get out there and help people.
Right. We got about 10 minutes left. I
Okay,
know it
so
goes by quickly. So
yeah.
let's go. Let's talk about what you wanted to talk about.
Let's finish up the heat
Heat,
exhaustion.
yes.
This is important because we live in Arizona and think that
We know
the
what's
heat's
going
not
on.
bother.
Right,
We know what's
right.
going on. So with heat exhaustion, again, you start feeling lousy, nauseated, you just feel malaise. So the recommendation one is get out of the environment, and not only get out of the environment for a day or two, because it does exhaust your body. And some of you might have had this happen to you, where you wake up the next morning and you're still feeling lousy. It felt like a truck ran over you. So stay out of the environment for a couple days. And the last one, which happens very, very infrequently, is what we call heat stroke. And the big issue with heat stroke is your body stops perfusing and sweating. So now you got somebody that their skin is warm, dry, and hot. The core temperatures get up to the degree of 105, 106 degrees, and death rapidly occurs. It doesn't happen very often because typically people have gotten help. Where we see this, it happens, again, not frequently, but when it does, we see it in the elderly population.
I got it. I had to be in my mid-20s to late 20s. I remember it very well. I was driving to San Diego and driving back at one point in my top down in the summer in the convertible, and it was brutal. I felt for a week.
Yeah. That's a
I
good case
felt
of heat
weak.
exhaustion. Yep.
Mhm.
I couldn't get out of bed. I just felt like I knew what it was, maybe 2 days in, but it was like, this can't happen to me. I'm too young, blah, blah,
Too
blah.
young. I live in Arizona. I'm used to the heat. I'm acclimated. No.
I was beat.
Yeah. So staying out of the environment, again, not just for the day, but for a couple days.
Yeah.
Your body really needs to recover on that. So I just wanted to mention that point. And it happens, again, whether you're 8 or 80, and it doesn't really have, being in good physical condition does slow the process down,
Well, let's
but it still happens.
we have. I didn't want to run out of time. So you already talked to JB about going to a class. So if somebody like me wanted to go to the class, what's it going to cost, and how often do you do them?
Okay, so again, we do basic classes every day of the week except Sundays, and we still do Sundays. We do a lot of in-kind work. An example is that we were down yesterday with the Civil Air Patrol. They do, and the Civil Air Patrol is basically the Air Force's kind of like the junior ROTC program. But long story short is we trained I think it was
115.
115 cadets, no charge. With them, so we do a lot. So if you belong to a church or a nonprofit organization and you want to get your staff trained, you can give us a call, 400-8204, or our website, CPR, the number 2, the letter U.com. And if you hear us on this program today and you're taking a first aid or CPR class, mention you heard us on Steve R, and we'll give you a discount. And I'm not going to go through all the price right now because there's different levels of training that we do in courses. But one of the best presents I got being married, I just got the other day from my wife, and it's actually our mission statement for CPRDU, and we save lives. And as again, a paramedic for 37 years, people ask, Well, how do you save a life? Take a CPR course.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And as I'm getting older, I'm kind of see the importance of it all the time. I haven't really seen something like you see in the movie, or some guy getting sick like that. I haven't seen it in real life, and I've gone to thousands of games. Injuries or knees or ankles and things like that.
It presents in so many different matters, and so I just use a rule of, you're not feeling right, you need to go to the emergency room. As I presented with my heart attack that I had, all I had was nausea and vomiting. I had no chest pain. I had no difficulty breathing, no pain. I just had nausea and vomiting, and yet I was within weeks of dying.
Yeah.
So, again, if you don't feel right, call 911, go to the emergency room, and get checked out.
Yeah. And you felt bad. You felt bad for a while. Right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I felt bad. I woke up feeling bad, and then it just got progressively worse from there until I went to the until they got the ambulance, and I went to the hospital.
Have you been with him all the time? What were you doing before?
I was working. I've been in fire and EMS for 35 years.
So, but you've been with him, I'm sure you're more aware now that you're with him. But is it recent? How long have you been with Bo?
2 years.
I've been about 2.5 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure now you're kind of well versed in everything that goes on.
Right. But we've been known each other for 15, 20 years, but I've been with him about 2.5 years.
Let me say this, because you're aware of this. Shaquille's kid.
Yeah.
Sharif, same. He had heart
Same
issues.
thing again.
So it's just something that happens, and you check it out.
Get it checked out. We're becoming more aware. And I want to say there's a high school here. I'm not going to mention high school because I'm not exactly
Which one?
But they're actually doing these EKGs on these athletes during their physicals, which I think is a great thing. It's not an expensive test. It costs of a couple of electrodes, but we always think of the elderly having heart attacks, and yet, it happens in children.
Sure.
And healthy, unhealthy.
Well, didn't you know the guy, Hank Gathers, back in the day?
Yeah, Hank Gathers.
I think that was a case of that, wasn't it?
Yep.
Irregular heartbeat?
Yep.
Yeah.
Irregular heartbeat.
I think it was 1991.
Yeah. Is it okay to mention this? And I know you wouldn't have a problem with it. This local sports guy.
It's up to you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. So a lot of you know in the sports community Dana Cooper, and Dana Cooper's daughter's the one I had mentioned about going into cardiac arrest. A young, healthy 18-year-old. She was doing pull-ups and collapsed and actually went into cardiac arrest. Thank God the coach knew CPR. They had an AED. Today she's
doing well.
Perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
And him and Dana and his daughter actually come to a CPR course after the fact, and so they're now trained in
I wouldn't
CPR.
mind having him on and with her and talk about that with you.
Yeah.
Because it's important.
And Steve, we need to get you CPR trained.
I probably will do it. You guys have scared me straight here.
Yeah.
It's like going to prison and I'm going to do it.
No, we talked about.
I joke a lot, but I'm not joking right now.
No, we talked about offering your listeners a discount. We have a special discount for you.
Oh,
yeah, $150.
Yeah. Gotta buy snacks.
You take IOUs with that AED.
Yeah, we can run the card.
Yeah, but seriously, truly, if you want to save a life, take CPR. And again, over the years, going to people's houses, and after the fact, I wish I would have taken a CPR class. It's sad. Oh, and let me mention one more thing. Is we were involved in over the last couple of years, and it actually goes into law July 1st here in a couple of days. Is that in order to graduate high school in the state of Arizona, you have to take a CPR class.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
I'm proud. We were actually involved in that legislation.
That's very good. That's very smart.
Yep. And we were a 38th state because we're forefront with education. We're a 38th state to pass that legislation. So now, in order to graduate high school, you have to take a CPR class. It's an hour-long class, and again, saving lives is what matters.
That and home ec. They need to bring home ec back. The real life of the world.
I love home ec.
Heck yeah, I want to learn how to cook.
Yeah.
And then my heart would be better because I would be at Chipotle
You'd be
all the
healthy
time.
stuff. Yeah, healthy stuff.
Anything else regarding your offices are all over or just central?
Yeah, we have locations in Arizona, California, Oregon, New Mexico, locally here, 4500 East Speedway, Speedway Swan, and again CPR, the number 2, the letter U.com. If you're interested, I've given the number 400-8204. Give us a call. We'll give you a discount. JB was lucky today. He's getting a free course, but take that 3 hours for CPR, the 5 hours for CPR first aid, and truly make a difference in anybody's life, your family.
I know this is a dumb, loaded question because I know the answer that you're going to give at least. Shouldn't coaches
We do a lot of coach training.
Have this a requirement?
Yeah,
Yes.
what's neat is recently at one time with Tucson Youth Football, only one coach had to be trained. Now they require anybody on the field has to have it.
Oh, okay.
So, which I think is a good idea. What happens if that coach is gone for the night?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody that is coaching has to have it. And again, it's only 3 to 5 hours out of your life to save a life. So.
Yeah, that's smart. Smart idea. Well, thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
us.
it. We've got to have you back and talk about this more, especially in the summer. Like you talk about the heat.
Yeah.
And if anything happens with people, we can talk about that. Because we see it. You know that what's June 26th? You know in the next 2 months we're going to see people getting lost in the hills
Yep.
and saying, well, that was predictable. And
Yeah.
they're from Canada or they're from
Right.
upstate New York.
I just my wife and I just flew with the Sheriff's Department search and rescue helicopter a couple of weeks ago. We were just discussing that. They're up almost every day in the Sabino Canyon area, rescuing people again because they're not prepared
Right.
for the heat. And lastly, Steve, you mentioned for coming on today's show, we got a Fleming's gift card. I want to make sure we get that before we leave.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about.
The $100 gift card you
Oh.
said you were going to give us? Yeah. Well, we eat healthy steak.
That's why I don't know what you're talking about. It's a joke.
Steve just had a chest pain.
I
incident.
did. Get that
AED out.
AED. Yeah.
Yes. Hey, thanks for coming in. We're going to
All
end this
right,
break here. The first hour. Good show. Thank you guys very much. CPR to you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
First hour's done. Here on 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera. And now in studio, we have former U of A football player, Mr. David Adams. How are you, David?
Fantastic. Thank you. How are you?
Fine. Thank you. Thanks for coming in. I always enjoy talking to you because I don't know where we'll go or where we'll end if we ever end. I got to warn Tom to have your finger on the pulse of that button over there. I know you're a professional, Dave.
Yeah, don't worry. I've washed my mouth out with soap earlier, so I'm good.
Good. That doesn't mean I will, and I can always provoke you. You know that. Hey, you haven't played in, let's say, 40-some. How many years? 35 years.
The last year I played was 92.
92. Okay, but let's talk about U of A, and I have a specific question for that. When you played, who was the face of that program when you played? Who was the guy?
Offensively or defensively?
Unequivocally, the guy. Either.
Ricky Huntley was one of the guys.
Okay. And I'm sure it changed after he left.
Right. Well, yeah, you can't be the guy and you're not there. So Ricky Huntley was the guy for 2 years that I was there. Vance Johnson was kind of the guy there. And then it kind of transitioned through me, then Byron Evans and Chuck Cecil. But mainly it was defensive people that were the guys when I was there.
The reason I say, but you had a guy. There was a guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Max Sendejas also.
Okay, so I had this conversation with Greg Hansen yesterday, and I've talked about it a few times on other shows. This year, coming in this year, who is the face of the program?
Quarterback.
You'd hope so.
That would be my suggestion. I mean, when you're a Heisman hopeful, and then you get taken off that list because of injuries, they were expecting a great deal from you, and he is a good athlete. But the running back JJ is vying for some attention as well.
Right. And if Khalil doesn't do well, then what? And JJ, but
well, JJ had 1,200, 1,300 yards, so that's a successful season for a running back, especially in this era where you throw so much.
Right.
But if Khalil doesn't become the man again, I don't know who they're going to turn to because their big weapon people on offense rely on him to make the plays happen. So everything is set for him to be the man. And nobody has really, to me, done anything from a defensive standpoint to be that next guy.
Sure.
I mean, they play solid and they played okay, but nobody's, 9 interceptions or 200 tackles or 50 sacks.
Schooler might make it a bit, but that's about it.
Yeah, but see, that's what we got a whole bunch of bits of people.
Yeah.
So that you can't be the man if it's just a bit.
You can't be the man if you're not the man.
That's period.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood is Clint Eastwood.
Right. No, and I asked that because Hiki was on the show earlier with another program, and it's like they almost don't want anybody to be the man and to highlight somebody for the year to sell they need to sell tickets. They need to sell tickets. People know who you are. You walk around the city. Do they say, hey, can't wait to watch this football season?
No, they haven't said that for a long time.
Exactly.
Because the thing about it is, if you don't have the man, you got to have the team.
Good point.
We don't have either. We have 5 and 7, 6 and 6. Those are just, that's not going to make people run home to watch TV and run to McHale or the football stadium to watch it. So when you don't have that, you got to have somebody. Well, you know what? We got this quarterback that's this. So let's go see that. But we don't have either or when Khalil had a down season last year.
When was the last time they had that? Take your time.
CDO running back.
Yeah, okay. Mark
Kadeem.
Kadeem.
Yeah, Kadeem.
That's true.
Kadeem, I would. There's very few people that, as a running back, that I'll go watch as a running back because most running backs are all doing the same thing, and this guy's fast, this guy's strong, but it takes a lot for me to get out of my seat or hurry home to watch somebody. But Kadeem was one.
No, and he showed what he could do.
Right,
and he did it a lot.
Yeah, I liked Kadeem. Matter of fact, the first time I seen him play at CDO, he was on defense, and I watched him on defense. I'm like, wow. I said, great hips, nice feet. And then when he got on offense, it was over. I said, he's going to be a good running
And back in the day, they had some pretty good kids. They had the Martinez kid, I think it was, at CDO. They had the Robbins' son or nephew or what?
Randy Robbins.
Randy Robbins' son. Yeah. So they had a very good football team.
Right. And see, that's the thing. When you have a good team, everybody gets a chance to be the man, to a degree.
Sure.
So that's the problem with a lot of things right now. It's just like South Point has a good team, so you can highlight some people because they're winning. But other schools that are struggling, U of A, one of them, what do you highlight?
Yeah, you don't, because you don't have any highlight. We talked about it with the Greg yesterday. Another thing, over the last 20 years, it's almost 20 years since Dick Tomey has been no longer coaching. I've been the coach. To me, it's kind of almost a lost era, save for a year or two. Maybe the Rich Rod year they went to the Fiesta Bowl with Anu. That's 1 year. I couldn't find another year. Maybe I could, maybe I can't. But that's in 20 years. That's 5% of the time.
Well, see, here's the thing with since the 70s, basically everybody always talks about next year with the U of A. Oh, we were 7-5. Next year, all these people we got coming back. Oh man, next year's the one, and it's always next year.
Right.
And it's never, the year never comes, so that's why it's so far out.
Yeah,
you got 1 in 20 years, and then they went 12-1 1 year, and then they went 9-2. And we did, and they're so far apart because Tucson does not demand excellence.
In what sense?
In the fact that always next year. We were 7-5.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, see, you go 7-5, 8-3 at USC. Notre Dame, Florida too long.
Get you fired.
Well, get you fired.
Yeah.
And they're, a 70% winning percentage. 70 doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
But see, 70 cuts it here because we're always talking about next year. And this is from as long as I can remember, from the 70s, 80s,
right,
90s, and to today.
Do you think it can be changed? I know that's a dumb question.
No, it can be changed. You got 3 years to make something happen, and if you don't, you're gone. And I'm going to tell you that in private. I'm not going to tell you that publicly. Say, Steve,
you tell the
3
coach.
years.
You tell the coach.
You got 3 years to turn this around.
And
well, give him 4 because you got to have his players get in there and get rid of the other. You got 4 years to turn it around to where we're a championship contender.
That's where I wanted to go with it. What does turn it around mean?
Championship contender to where there's fear because you got Arizona on your schedule.
It hasn't happened here.
No. What happens here is a lot of times what we've done, we've had some success where we're the 7-4, 8-3 type of thing. But what we've done lately, we've turned into the Oregon State from back in the 80s where it was a stat team.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Oregon. Ooh, that's 200 yards rushing. Okay, that's fine. So your mentality changes. Tucson needs to demand effort.
How?
Yeah, you got 4 years. That's what I'm telling you. And see, the thing about it is because Arizona doesn't get the 5-star.
Right. I'm going to go there with you in a bit.
But we got to get the 3 stars and make it happen.
Better. Coach them up.
Make it happen.
Coach them up. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we were doing in the 80s and the 90s. We would get the 3, 4, the
fringe.
They were second team All-American, third team All-American, honorable mention All-American. We would get those, and then they turned out to be better than the 5-star because the 5-star was a running back, for example, that's 6'3", 240, and he's playing everybody that's 5'10", 170. And, of course, you're going to have 9,000 yards a game.
Right. No, I don't disagree with you one bit. Let me ask you, and I want your honest opinion. I know you're a Tucsonan, you're a U of A grad. I say this on the show a number of times and the Sports Guys show. In the Pac-12, we're ranking the Pac-12. Little David Adams is being recruited by Stanford, Washington, USC, UCLA, Arizona, Oregon. You ain't coming to Arizona.
At my position, I wouldn't want to come to Arizona at that. If I had the choices that you mentioned.
You have those choices.
Because we don't have an established, this is a running school. Now, when I was in school, if you could be recruited to be a USC tailback, that's where you were going because it's tailback U. But what we had established here was defensive-oriented stuff. Linebackers were coming here. That's what we were getting
back in the
day. And now the game has changed, but we don't have an identity.
You don't. You haven't had it for a while.
No, we haven't. But I think I can see some things changing. I like this coach a lot. He's bringing some honesty. And when I say by honesty, it's not like the coach is lying to you. Honesty from the standpoint of this is what it takes to be successful in football. Football, the game is tweaked, but it's still stop this person from crossing the last line or cross the last line. And that's never going to change. And it comes down to toughness. See, there's where a lot of the problem is. A lot of the toughness that you need to play football, that's disappeared.
Why is that?
I don't know. I really don't, because when we're having this conversation, well, they don't coach up anybody to be the man. Well, damn it. That's what he said, but I'm going to work to be the man. We would be in the huddle sometimes, and Alfred would say, okay, Alfred was the quarterback at the time, and he says, all right, guys, we need a 15-play drive, and we'd be on our 10 or whatever. And I'd say to myself, not if I can help it.
It'll be a 2-play drive.
Boom, I'm taking it to the house.
Right.
And that's because I wanted not only to beat you mentally and physically. There's nothing better than making a person quit. And to make a person quit, you got to beat them mentally. That's how you quit.
Did you have, I know this is another silly question because I've been part of teams, but not at this level, obviously, where you had your huddle, you had your guys, you knew who the alpha males were, if not all of them were in the huddle, but guys who would look to you and turn to you, get your crap straight. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get your butt kicked if you don't get this done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you always have those type of guys. The thing about it is that you want a cohesive unit to where I love you so much.
I'm going to tell you.
I don't want anybody to hurt you or to get to you, so I must do my job.
Yeah.
See, you loved your other players so much, so you just couldn't be the one that gave up the sack.
You just don't want to disappoint them.
Yeah, and you don't want to get them hurt.
Yeah.
You're like, I just care about you so much, Steve. I'm not going to do everything I can not to let somebody break down that door and beat you up. Everything I can.
And that was the team. And that was
exactly.
Everybody looking after each other.
Exactly. And that's one of the differences, because there wasn't social media and all these I want to make my brand work back then.
Right.
You wanted the team to be well. And when you don't care about the other player, you can't have success.
I would assume that's an ego thing. nowadays, where it's me. I got to see my stats in football. You see it in basketball all the time, and what did I get? How many minutes did I get? How many points did I get? And if you're good enough, stats mean nothing, because they'll find you. For football, how important were those stats?
Very, because the thing about it is that everything really starts to equal out in football and basketball. You may have 20 points a game, but your guy has 23 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
So you're offense, but you're not defense. And in the football, it's very important that, especially if you're not a prototype. Me, I'm not a prototype.
Mm-hmm.
Prototype at that time was 6'3", 230, Herschel Walker type guy. Bo Jackson, you weren't saying, you know what, if we could just get somebody 5'6", 170, we can go to the championship. You didn't say that. You were just like.
But those guys are rarities. I mean, come on.
But the size isn't a rarity.
Oh, yeah, no question.
See, their talent is rare.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that's what you go out looking for. You'll give up a couple inches, maybe 6 foot 230,
mm-hmm.
5'11", 230. But that's what you're going to look for. You're not looking for the heart and desire of a person that is willing to do whatever it takes to succeed.
Right. Let's take our first break. We're going to make a call to another guy on the line, Ronnie Reyna, talk about a recent football gathering he had. We could talk to him with David here on the 1030 The Voice, Trusted Local News and Talk. So we'll get back with Ronnie on the other side of the break. Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera. And now on the phone we have Ronnie Reyna, a good friend. Ronnie, how are you?
I'm fine, Steve. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Hey, not long ago, I don't even know if it's a week ago, maybe a little longer, you had this big event on the South Side talking with some of the power hitters at U of A. How did that go?
Steve, that was last Wednesday, 1 week ago today, on the 19th, down at Regal's Restaurant on the South Side. We had what I like to call the triple or the trifecta of leadership down there, at least in my eyes, with Dr. Robbins, our athletic director, Dave Hickey, and Coach Kevin Sumlin.
And how'd that go?
It went wonderful. I mean, the outpouring of, people, community interest, it was just sky high. We had a blast.
I asked David this question maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, and I've asked this question a couple times the last couple of days. Do you see anybody as being the face of that program? And do you think they need butts in the seats? They do. They just absolutely need butts in the seats. And this kind of shows how they can do it with things like yours. They need more of these things, don't you think?
Well, I tell you what, if they get out and do what they did to our meet and greet, you know what, it'll be fantastic. The diversity and culture of our community was so well shown. And let me tell you what, all three of these guys, they're sincere people. I'm just happy that I had a hand in putting this together, with Dan Ekstrom and Richard Teambiz. But you know what, these guys are just so sincere, so genuine. They like they embrace the Hispanic culture. It's just amazing. I mean, you hear these guys talk, and you say, you know what? Are these football people? Are they administrators or what? They're just good people.
No, I get it. Dave, I have Dave Adams in studio with me. I'm wondering, Dave, back in the day, did you have to kiss babies and shake hands like this?
We did a lot of community involvement stuff. I would, especially for me, but coming from the South Side, anything in Sunnyside School District, I would do a lot of things. Elementary schools, junior highs at the time, and high schools, I would go and speak. And it's very important that the kids have an opportunity to touch you, because you can donate everything, but to touch you is something.
You're real to them.
Especially for me, because I was a normal-sized person, just like they were at that time.
Yeah.
A lot of times you send somebody over there 7 foot, and they're like, well, it's over. I'm not going to be 7 foot.
Right. Hey, Roddy, so they were well received. What was their message?
What was their what?
What was their message?
Well, I tell you what, their message was to accept the diversity in our community, to work with the minorities, to help them achieve what everybody else has the opportunity to achieve. And I'll tell you how sincere they are. Dr. Robbins left our event after he stayed there for a couple of hours, had to get to Phoenix to catch a flight to Washington, D.C. for Thursday morning. A lot of other people would have just said, I can't make it. I got a big event in the morning. You know what I'm saying, Steve?
Yes. How do you compare this year to last year's? Because you'd had one last year as well.
We did, sir. And I tell you what, I think it's getting better every year. I told Rigo, and was talking to Rigo and Dan and my buddy Enrique Serna, and I said, you know what? We might have to look for a new place next year because it's just getting too big. And, everybody wants to be involved. It's an invitation-only type of event because you only have, limited capacity. But I tell you what, Steve, it gets better every year, and I'm just thrilled that I'm a part of it.
Well, they need to get butts, like I say, butts in the seats from all over the city, south side, north side, whatever it is. And I think, and this may be, you know this town better than me, Ronnie, that the community where you're at, especially on the south side, are natives. They're homegrown people. And I always said this, it's hard for people from Iowa who move here or Wisconsin to move here, and we have a lot of those because they have no affiliation with the U of A, that it's understandable that they don't go to the games because there's no ties. But the group that you have, they have ties because they're natives.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely. And there's that pride of Arizona, pride of being in the home of the Wildcats, the Arizona Wildcats. And I tell you what, I just can't see but things getting better. Let me tell you what, Coach Sumlin's a funny guy, and I know funny humor doesn't win any football games, man. But I tell you what, I think the guy's on the right track. I think he's going to do well. And, I heard what David said, and yeah, you know what, it's always next year. Well, gosh darn it, you know what? I think that next year is going to have to come up, and I think it will with Coach Sumlin. I really do.
I agree with you 100%. I'm a big Sumlin fan as well. I think that he's definitely on the right track. And the other thing that he pointed out to me is that I thought was very interesting. He says, David, once we get the horses up front, everything's going to come together. And a lot of coaches is like, if we could just get a quarterback, if we could just get a running back, if we could just get some receivers. But it starts up front, and that's what he's going to get. And he went and got some very nice-sized linemen that are aggressive and mean and want to make some things happen. So I agree with you 100%.
Hey, Ronnie, did you allow for questions, or what was the format?
Yeah, we did allow for some questions. First of all, they spoke. Each one of them took their turn to speak. And let me tell you what, Bob, Dr. Robbins, Bobby, did not have his fiancée Linda with him, but she is excellent. Dave Hickey brought his wife, Liz. She's a fantastic woman also. But it was, yes, there were some questions, and one of the questions that remained in my head that was a good question was, hey, are you going to cut Khalil Tate loose?
Right.
And you know what he said, and he laughed, and he said, well, cut him loose. He said, it's hard to do anything with one leg, and that's the truth. Khalil was just hurt. But I think we're going to see a different beast this year, Well,
the other thing is that you can't cut loose a college player. It's a little different, You
in what sense?
Because you don't cut people. You don't get rid of people. You don't get rid of.
No. He's talking about letting
cut loose in the way of letting him run.
No, I understand what you're saying. See, the thing about it is that people didn't understand that Khalil was making decisions. Once the ball is snapped, it's on him.
Oh, okay.
You can call whatever you want to call. If he wants to show that he can throw, he's not going to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So these were decisions he was making.
I see what you're
People thought, he's stifling him. He won't let him run the ball. No, Khalil wanted to show that he can throw, and he sat back.
That's true.
And he sat back and threw the ball, whether it was successful or not. It was something different.
Yeah, I think the bottom line, though, David, was that Khalil truly was hurt, so that did limit his game plan.
Oh, without a doubt. But the thing about it it seemed that Tucson was saying Sumlin's coaching style was stifling Khalil's attack because the year before, he had 1,000 yards or something, and
sure.
And it was reverse.
Right.
It was the other way around.
Right.
Yeah,
and I would think if I didn't understand football, well, wait, 1 year you got this. It's like having 30 points a game and then going down to 15 points a game. What something's happening because you changed coaches.
Right.
No, your finger was broken and you can't shoot the same.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I've heard that same thing, and that was one of my philosophies, where he wanted to prove that he could pass the ball or throw the ball.
That was key.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is sooner or later, this fad of double threat is going to go back to you got to be able to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it only lasts for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've seen crazy offenses and, go on, but it always goes back to we got a quarterback here to throw the ball.
Right. And now we have a guy, if he can throw the ball, who can also run the ball.
All right, that's always a bonus.
Yeah.
It's like having power windows. It's always a bonus. You ain't got to lean over to roll it down to talk to the girl at the stoplight.
What year are you in, David? What year are you in? So, Ronnie, what was maybe a good second question? If there was one.
There was a good second question was, are they going to be coming back to the South Side? The people there were excited, Steve.
Sure.
You know, they don't that often does somebody take the time to go out there, and Dr. Robbins been there like 3 years. I think Dave Hickey 3 years also, and Coach Sumlin was there last year too. So these people just get worked up for it. So they just wanted to make sure you're committed to our community. Please come back. So that was basically another question that was well received.
Let me ask you, and I talk about this every now and again because I know if I were a guy who didn't have to go because I worked it, I don't know if I could afford the ticket.
To Regals or to the ball game?
to the ball game. I can afford Regals, but the ball game because sometimes the prices may be too high.
Yeah, and from a socioeconomic area like that, Steve, that's a good question. But you know what? They have these packages at the university that the ticket office and Dave Hickey have implemented that are just fantastic, where it ends up costing $7-8 a ball game. Heck, you spend that much at Circle K buying a hot dog and a soda pop and something else.
And chips.
So
yeah.
I think they're making it real affordable to get fans in the stands.
Well, the thing about it is they make it affordable with enough time for you to make it work, but everybody waits to the last damn second, and that's what makes the ticket prices go up. Everything.
Yes, sir.
Get your tickets today, and they're $20. But if you get them, day before the game, it's going to be $45, and everybody's like, "Oh man, these ticket prices are too high."
You guys are
Exactly.
perfect for this. You guys are perfect for this, and I've been here 30 years. The one thing about Tucson, it's a last-second town for everything. True?
Tucson is a walk-up town. They
Yes.
are a walk-up town, no doubt about it.
Well, they walk up and complain. But you had 5 paychecks pass by before you got your tickets, and you waited to the last paycheck to go get your tickets, and you wondered why you had to pay the day before the show prices. And everybody's complaining. Oh shit! I'm sitting up here. I couldn't believe $50. Well, you're already here, so why are you still complaining? But they were $30 2 weeks ago.
Right.
But
Same seats. Same seats.
Oh yeah, exactly. Same seats.
Yeah. Hey, Ronnie,
Yes,
good to talk to you. We'll talk again soon.
Steve, thank you so much for having me. Dave, take care, man. You guys be good.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. It was good talking to you, man.
Okay, God bless.
Ronnie Renner, one of the local businessmen in town. No, I totally get it. It's I don't know if I would go to a game, and then you probably go to most games. The crowds are very fickle, and by halftime they're out having a pop somewhere else.
Here's the problem. The ticket prices isn't the issue. The issue is you're not winning the damn games.
Number one, I totally agree with you.
That's number.
If you're not winning, you're right.
You're
right.
Why do I want to go see? I can watch you lose on TV, but why do I want to go in person and watch you lose? And I'm like, it's just depressing to watch people lose in any sport. Because once you start winning, that's the place to be. Everybody wants to be associated with a winner. If the Suns turn it around, everybody wants to be at the Suns game.
Right.
When they were going to the championship.
Everybody. It was packed. You couldn't get a seat.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it happened. Look at the basketball team, the men's basketball team. Once they started losing, people started not even going anymore.
Well, and then the complaining, and it's the coach's fault. I've never seen one coach play a basketball or football game. Never, not one.
Yeah.
They're always on the sideline. I mean, you can question some of their decisions, but you still got to execute whatever it is I call.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, how's that my fault as well?
You've been on, this is your second time on the show. Did I ask you if you ever wanted to be a coach?
Yeah, you did.
And you did. What did you say?
Well, you know what I mean.
You're probably too impatient to be a coach.
Well, I'm too different. What I mean by that is that I expect you to love and want to perform at the level that I do.
Oh yeah, good
and
luck
when
with
you
that.
don't,
good luck with that.
I don't understand this. When I was coaching and I would say, okay, do this, 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 this. Oh man. Well, go here. Let me explain to you my philosophy. I'm not playing, so why do I need to hear your philosophy?
Yeah.
You know, and that's the problem with me. I think you need to pour your heart into whatever it is you're doing, and when you don't, I really don't want to have too much to do with it.
So, did you coach at one time?
Oh, I coached at Sunnyside. I coached at Saguaro.
How'd that?
Oh, they go fine
Until
you don't do what I say. And the reason I'm saying that is because I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You got experience from PlayStation. PlayStation, everything is correct. The right blocking, the right form, the ball's in the right hand. That's what happens on PlayStation.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you from real life experience, but you want to tell me.
Right.
I'm not playing.
Well, I think that's the number one. I don't know. I was young and stupid one time, and I knew everything, and some coach telling me or whatever. But that's what you get today, don't you? Coach, you're wrong. You're full of it.
No, not just that. But see, my thing is that once you know my background, you should know that I know what I'm talking about. It's very difficult to listen to somebody who's never played.
Sure.
Whatever it is.
Sure.
But I mean, the thing about it is that if you stand on a street corner and watch cars for 10 years, you're going to learn something about traffic patterns.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And see, this is what these kids don't understand. Well, he's never played. But no, I have played, and I understand how this works.
Right.
And I understand leverage, and I understand how, if you're 180 pounds, how do you block somebody for as long period of time that's 260? I understand how that works. So you got to listen.
So what got you out of it? Was it that eventually?
That and, I just, starting your own business and things like that, you just need all your time you can get. To give up, in the middle of the day, practice starts at 3 or 4, then you're not done till 6 or 7. It just interrupts the flow of trying to establish what you're trying to do after you're done with your career.
This is a stupid question. I know who you are and what you do. So did you have a passion? You got to have a passion for it.
For anything.
Yes. And coaching was not that passion.
Well,
and that's okay. If
no. I agree with you. The thing about it is that I didn't see the long-term financial benefit.
I totally get it.
If you're not Nick Saban, and $200,000 a year is good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not boo-hooing $200,000 a year. I'm just saying, if you have aspirations to really make a dent in society and do something, you need to be in that $5, $10, $15 million a year type of thing. And I didn't see anybody getting it, let alone me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the things. I just didn't see a long-term future in it. And the way society has been changing, that was another situation, dealing with the kids that know everything already. Mm-hmm. Even though I knew everything when I was a kid, I did listen to you.
Right.
I'd say, well, let me do what he says, and when it doesn't work, I'm going to tell him that. But I'm like, oh, I did what he says, and it worked.
Very true, very true. Do you have kids?
I have one stepson.
One stepson. Okay, yeah. I was going to say, how, because I've always said that as I got older, I got smarter to my kids.
Oh, well, yeah. Right now, he's 19 or 20, and of course, I know absolutely nothing. So I got to wait till he turns 30 for him to apologize for
right.
not listening to me for 100 years.
We all go through that, man.
Oh, everybody.
We all go through that.
If you're lucky enough to have a father in the house.
Yes, very true. Yeah. Very true. And it comes back full circle.
Oh, it comes back to haunt you. You have 9 kids, and all of them will cuss you out every day.
Yes.
Dad, what the hell you know, Dad? It's always the same. That was back in your day.
Yeah.
Days don't change that much.
No. History repeats a lot if you're not paying attention all the time. Hey, let's take our final break here. 6:40 o'clock, 6:43 here on 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. Welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera. In-house, I have David Adams, former U of A player. Yesterday, or the day before, can't remember now, I had Joe Nels on the show. I love Joe Nels. You probably know him very well or well.
Not real well, but
a little older than you.
We were at, I think he was a senior when I was a freshman.
Oh, okay. And I asked him, Joe, do you miss playing? Well, and do you wish you would have played in this era where it's kind of like, big time stuff, big numbers, a lot of different back in the day. He said, no, I don't. No, I would. I was fine playing where I was. Today's game is crazy in the AAU circuit. It's all money and craziness. How about you? Do you wish you would have played today?
The only reason I would rather have played today than back when because I wouldn't have been a trailblazer. Now it's not abnormal to have a smaller player.
J.J. Taylor.
Have a smaller player getting an opportunity. Mm-hmm. But when I was coming out, they were still looking for the big back and fast. So I was more of a trailblazer. Then you got the freak Barry Sanders coming out that, he got his 5'8", 200 pounds, boom. And that's the only difference I see, that they were actually willing to look at talent more so than the size of a person. That's the biggest difference for me, because what they're doing now is they're saying, okay, you're so fast and so quick, we're just going to get you the ball in space and you do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they're willing to work with you on that. You had to be so exceptional back when I was coming out, when you weren't a prototype. I mean, you couldn't do anything wrong. My whole thing was, when I was playing and going through my NFL situation, it was, we're just concerned about your blocking. And I said, well, just give me the ball and you don't have to be concerned about my blocking. But, well, we can't give it to you every play. Well, every other play. But that was the thing. They were worried about my blocking. I said, well, when I have the ball, I don't have to block.
Right. That's funny. That's probably true, too.
And, well, it's true. Like, I'm sitting here.
Yeah,
that was the whole thing. We got to figure out a way to use you.
One of the things that I find very funny or ironic, I don't know what the word is, funny or whatever, PJC, Parker Jackson Cartwright, the smaller players in whatever sport, football, basketball, us dumbheads in the media, you're so small. How do you compete against these big guys? How do you? And I'm thinking, this is what you do for a living. This is how you grew up.
I used to listen to that question so much, and it was so ridiculous, because talent doesn't have a size.
Right.
And the hardest thing to deal with was, they were playing, oh my God, how do you handle a 300-pound man hitting you? Well, that's not my job to handle that. I'm not supposed to get hit.
Yeah.
So why would I be thinking about that? And I'm looking at these people, because everybody to this day is afraid to say, oh man, look at that guy, the size of that guy. I'd hate to get in a fight with him.
Right.
He may be the softest person in America.
I totally agree with you.
They're always scared.
I don't want to get in a fight with the crazy guy. The big guy I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, because after he knocks you down, he's through. The crazy guy knocks you down, waits you to come to, stabs you again, and then pours poison all over you. So you're like, you're going in convulsions talking about that crazy son of a gun, he poured poison down my throat. But the big guy, he knocks you out and stands over and says, see, you shouldn't have messed with me.
Right.
Crazy people, they wait for you to come to, and then they go get your family.
Totally agree with that. When that was posed that question, this is big guy, that's easy. It's the crazy guy I don't want to deal with.
And especially, I think one of the craziest quotes ever was when Spud Webb won the slam dunk contest, and the interviewer says, What are you doing winning the slam dunk contest? And I'm like, I just was like, that was the dumbest question in history. He says, I'm here to be competitive.
Right.
And I happen to be able to dunk, and it's just more because it's abnormal, but it's more exciting to see. When you have a 7-foot guy doing a 360, it's not impressive. Mm-hmm. But you have somebody like 5'9", 5'10" doing it, that's impressive.
Right. And that was probably always an obstacle for you.
Oh, yeah. No, it was, you never thought I could do what I could do.
Right.
And then when I did it, you were just so, could it be that I work out every damn day to get it right? Could that be?
Right.
Could it be that I knew that my GPA was a 2.2, but my 40 was a 4.3? Yeah. While you got a 4.0, well, that's what you was going to do.
You ain't going to take a math test, but you'll speed down the 40.
You know what? I tell you what. My whole thing was, when they recruited me, they said, well, you only need a 2.0 to get a scholarship. I said, what did you say? I said, 2.0, and I graduated with a 2.2. If they would have told me I needed a 2.5, then I would have got that.
2.55.
But they told me I needed a 2.0.
Right. Let me ask you another dumb question. Tom and I had this debate maybe a week or so ago, the Golden State Warriors. So you're 25 to 30, 21 to 30. You're playing these games every 3 days or whatever. You're playing every minute of it. Do you guys get tired when you play? And this is an example. You get tired. This is what, in my mind, this is what you do. This is what you're built for.
Right.
This is your job. Tired doesn't even come into a factor because this is what you do and who you are at that age. You can go for days.
Right. It's just like when people say in high school kids, oh, it's so hot outside. I know they're tired. You don't get tired
You don't get tired.
18.
No.
You're like, hey, let's go outside and
play.
play
4 more.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that that's your job. It's very strenuous during that time. Mm-hmm. But, it's 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, and you've got 21 hours in a day to recover.
Yeah.
I mean, difficult is when you have to have the rent money and you don't have a job. That's pressure. To make my car payment when I make $2 million a week is not pressure.
Right. No, I totally get it.
Yeah.
For me, it's bad. For me, doing 2 hours of crazy athletic moves and all that stuff. For me, because I don't do it every day.
But
for
you've
them,
been doing it your whole life.
But exactly, they started when they were a kid.
Right.
Now they're 30. It's called Tuesday.
Well, here's what it is. People think that you just became an NBA player one day. No, you've been playing since you were 4 or 5, and now you're 28.
Right.
You've got 25 years of experience of behind you. That's what people don't understand. You've had this goal from single digits, and now you're 30. What do they expect you to do? So that overnight thing is just a fluke. It's not.
I'm random, and I'm going to talk. And just because we're talking about this, and I know you're a sports guy. Who's better, LeBron or Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
Not even a question.
Don't even ask me any ridiculous thing. I'll never come on your show again if you ask me something like that.
No.
It's not even close, because what it is that
I agree.
When you compare their physical attributes, relatively close. But sports is mental. Mike just goes to a whole nother level when the game's on the line.
And he'll tell you about it.
In your face.
Yes.
And LeBron, if it's going well, everything's fine. But when it's not going well, it's a mental thing. And Michael's mentality is totally different than LeBron's.
Totally agree with you.
Kobe mentality is very, very similar to Mike's.
Right. It's almost mirrored.
He patterned his game after him, and that's what I don't even understand that. And then you go down, well, all you do is go with the championships. Well, what the hell do you play the game for?
Right. There's no question. No question. This might be a dumb question again, and you can come on my show anytime. Montana, Brady, who?
Brady's making it very difficult, but I would still go with Montana. He was so phenomenal and so relaxed under pressure. When he had to do it, he did it. But Brady is really making it difficult for me to stick with Montana. But my thing is that when you want to find out who the best is to somebody, just say you have one choice. Who are you going to take? Just because you have better numbers, that doesn't make you a better player.
Exactly.
See, a lot of people say, well, Emmitt Smith is the NFL's leading rusher. But will you take Emmitt Smith or Walter Payton? Which one are you going to go with? Walter Payton, all day, every day. Emmitt would probably pick Walter. But Emmitt has 3,000 more yards. So you can't always judge by numbers. But to be 4-0 in championship games and win them the way that you want them, a couple times you blew some people out, but a couple times you had to really come to play. I would still give Montana the edge.
Yeah. I think who's the best I think we talked about this last time. Who's the best football player you've seen professionally, and then who played with is Ricky Hundley probably. I think you've told me that before.
No, the best player that I've ever been around that made me go, golly, that is impressive, was Tony Dorsett.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord. He was so fast that people, if you're not there, you really don't understand. And I asked him when I said, TD, tell me, what is the fastest 40 you've ever ran? He said, David, between me and you, I ran a 3.940. And I believed it.
Holy moly.
And I believed it. He ran a 4.3 in pads when he was at Denver. And he was 78 when he was at Denver. He said he ran a 3.94. And I believe him. There's a lot of people that, say stuff and I'll be like, man, stop. He said he ran a 3. And I said, okay.
And he was so quick, too.
And he was tough. See, a lot of people say, he ran out of bounds all the time. No, he really didn't. Dorsett was a lot tougher than he was given credit for. Yeah. Franco Harris ran his ass out of bounds all the time.
Who would you pay to see today?
Football?
Any sport.
I would pay to.
I know you're a tight one.
No, I would pay to see LeBron play. I would pay to see him play. Football wise, there's not a whole lot of running backs that I really like. I mean, that I would say was a definite that I had to see, but Bell was pretty good. He was with Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But because he has a different style that's very impressive that you can do the way he does it. That would make me say, let me go watch this. But there's some up-and-coming basketball players that are very interesting. Kawhi Leonard is special.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to go and see him play.
Yeah, no, and then you saw the games. I mean, he took control. Golden State was hurt, though.
But see, I don't want to hear that.
Golden State was hurt.
I don't want to hear that because you know why? If everybody got an excuse, everybody's hurting, everybody wants to give you a reason. Well, you won because you poked me in the eye, I couldn't see you. Well, you know what? You shouldn't have had your eye there. That's all there is to it. Golden State, they got hurt. You got 15 people on the team.
I don't disagree with you. 15
people. So because you have no backups, you want us to play less hard?
No. I'll put the little asterisk there.
No, we can't put an asterisk. That's a championship.
I'll put it out there.
No, you cannot put an asterisk on somebody winning a championship. It's not like they were shot. Did somebody shoot them with a gun? No. Somebody stabbed them with a knife? No. They just went out there and things happen on the basketball court and the football field.
It's my playbook. I'm going to put an asterisk.
Well, yeah, because that will be the one that never sells. See, my playbook is like, here's the champs, period.
But you're right. At the end of the day,
boom.
At the end of the day,
exactly.
That's what it is.
TEP, do you got the money or not?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to hear, oh, man, I was sick all week. No, TEP, we need the money, Dave.
We need the money or it's going to be shut off. You're right. You're right.
Plain and simple.
No, you are correct. At the end of the day, 2019, who were the champs?
Me?
Toronto.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me.
Toronto.
Exactly.
But you're right. But you're right. I get it. You, I know the answer for this. You a sports fan?
Yes.
You know I'm not, right?
No.
I used to be.
No.
I know how the.
How do you do that? That's like saying, well, I used to be gay, but now I'm not.
I'm a storyteller.
How does that work?
I'm a storyteller. So I'm here to tell stories in the sports world. I know.
So basically,
I know how the sausage is made. It's a lot of BS. You guys aren't great guys. You know that.
Well, everybody isn't a great guy in any field.
True. Well, true, but I'm not covering business.
No, I understand, but I mean,
I wouldn't be a fan of business.
Here's the perfect thing. Everybody's not a great guy. They say 10% of the population is gay. It doesn't skip a field. There's 10% in the NBA, 10% in the NFL, 10% in construction, 10% of the population. It doesn't change.
So you're applying that to bad guys.
What I'm saying is that there's bad guys throughout the whole thing.
I agree.
But the thing about it is that you give me so much attention, I can be bad to you because you're coming to get an interview from me as an athlete. I don't have to be patient with you because I'm LeBron James. So I can cuss you out if I want to.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to convince me otherwise, but I get what you're saying.
No. You're the type of person that just wants to blame athletes for everything. Yes.
That's for a different day.
It's all.
I don't know where to go with that.
It's all their fault.
No. It's not their fault. No. It's just that I've seen too much. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but
you know that. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
If you interviewed 100 CEOs that all make $15-20 million,
jerks too.
Boom.
But I'm not talking about business CEOs.
No, but that's the field that you're in. There's jerks in that field, and then there's great people in that field.
I totally get it.
And so that's the way it's going to be.
The problem with that is I'm in the sports business, so that's what I see.
Right, but see, the thing about it is that if you didn't want to be one of them, you would be okay. Because I think you would switch places with any of them.
Oh, heck yes, of course I would.
Even the marble champ.
Yeah, heck yeah. Give me the title right now. We got to go. We got to come back and we can argue all night. We can argue all night here.
I love it.
10:30 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. Thanks, everybody.